Thank you for joining me here at the First Alert Desk on Atlanta News First Plus. As you can see, next to me is a live picture right now in Meriwether County, where we are waiting moments from now for authorities to give us an update into a 2023 deadly gang-involved investigation that has led to now we're learning multiple arrests. We are going to get official details from authorities here in a moment, but I just wanted to hop on here before this press conference got underway and get into some of the background of this story. If you were with us on Atlanta News First as we were reporting to you, here is everything that we know. According to investigators, this stemmed from an incident on March 29th, 2023, where a house on Tuskegee Lane in Manchester was apparently shot up multiple times. Among the people that were injured in this and unfortunately did not survive was Kim Harvey-Pollard, a 46-year-old that was unfortunately, tragically shot and killed while she was lying in bed. On September 13, there was a break in the case, and that is what this news conference will center around. The Meriwether County Sheriff's Office telling us that a covert operation resulted in the, quote, execution of multiple search warrants and arrest warrants being served. Now, the Sheriff's Office did go on to say that these search warrants and arrest warrants resulted in several arrests of suspects and the recovery of what they're calling evidentiary value items. So we are going to take you moments from now into this headquarters for the Sheriff's Office and take you underway to this news conference where they will get into the details of this investigation and what these arrest warrants led to, possibly the names of the suspects involved. Again, for those of you just joining the stream on Atlanta News First Plus, if you are joining us on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday with us. Of course, if you're joining us on YouTube Live, feel free to drop a comment with questions and any reaction that you yourself have watching this here with us. As you can see, they just pulled up on the monitor here what appears to be a suspect list. I do see the words wanted and several what appears to be mugshots, and we were told ahead of this that they did execute an operation that led to multiple arrests. So we will see if these individuals are connected to this case and what their specific involvement was. But as you can see, multiple arrests right in front of you, a more visual explanation of that, which investigators will get into in a moment. And right there you can see a wanted, essentially a wanted poster of Jamire Jones, a 22-year-old. We will learn more of his involvement and whether there was involvement in this specific 2023 Meriwether County deadly gang-related shooting. Again, just to give you some initial background, it does look like those remarks are about to get underway. This happened in March of 2023 in Manchester. A home was shot up multiple times, and a 46-year-old woman, unfortunately and tragically, was killed while lying in bed. This is the center point for these investigators and what they'll focus on today. The big breakthrough came just days ago with a quote-unquote covert operation that led to multiple arrests. Let's listen in.
I'm going to give you the introduction on Sheriff Smith in regard to it, just give you some facts, circumstances, what we've got. We've got a press packet for everybody in regard to this set of circumstances that you can take with you in regard to that, and plus we'll give you our contact information if there's any additional that you need concerning it. Sheriff Smith will start the conference off in regard to this case investigation, and then we'll move forward from there, and then we'll pass it off. He'll pass it off to the next speakers, and we'll go from that direction there. All right, Sheriff Smith, if you step up.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Let me start off by saying we have reached this point today to address the most senseless, the most heinous, the most aggravated crime that could be committed against one of our citizens in our community. Now, let me bring you up to provide you with a little history as to what got us here or led us here today. Back on March 19th of 2023, a little bit before midnight, Meriwether County deputies responded to the home of Kim Harvey-Pollard, which was located at 110 Tuskegee Lane, Manchester, Georgia. Our response was in relation to shots being fired at or near the home. When our responding deputies arrived on the scene, they determined through their early preliminary investigation that several shots, gunshots, had been fired in the area, and those gunshots led to bullets penetrating her home. During that time that the bullets were hitting her home, she was laying in her bed, sleeping. She was struck once in the head, which led to, days later, her succumbing to her injuries while she was in the hospital. My investigative team, my deputy sheriffs, have not turned this loose since March the 19th of last year. They have been persistently working this case to bring us where we are right now. They have done a tremendous job during their case investigation. But I also want to state to you that all of this could not have been possible without these gentlemen that are standing behind me and that are flanking me with the agencies that they are representing. They were very crucial and played a crucial role into our bringing this to the forefront of where we are today. Now, I'm going to start naming some of the agencies that involved in helping us. And when I start doing that, I certainly don't want to miss anybody. So I want to go over that with you right now to let you know who these agencies are, and obviously want them to be recognized for the work and the assistance and the resources that they brought to us to help us with our investigation. My colleagues in the Sheriff's Association, I'm going to give them a shout out. Sheriff Countryman is here with us today, Muskogee County Sheriff. He's been very, very helpful with the arrest process that took place last Friday morning. During the early morning hours, a group of law enforcement officials were gathered where we hit 5 locations of addresses of where our suspects were going to be. This was a precision operation with many, many agents, deputies, police officers, Homeland Security agents, Georgia State Patrol, other sheriff's deputies. In this simultaneous takedown, we were able to bring 4 of our suspects into custody. And without their help, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So Sheriff Countryman is here today, with Muskogee County Sheriff. The Coweta County Sheriff's Office played a very large, huge role in this. The Upson County Sheriff's Office, the Fayette County Sheriff's Office, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the Pike County Sheriff's Office, Lamar County Sheriff's Office, Heard County Sheriff's Office, the Troup County Sheriff's Office. And now I want to name our police agencies that were also very, very crucial in this operation. Chief Mike Richardson is here with us today, representing the Thomaston Police Department. We appreciate Chief Richardson with his assistance in this entire case investigation. We also want to recognize the Manchester Police Department, the LaGrange Police Department, the Noonan Police Department, and I believe I got all the police departments, but we certainly appreciate their help. Now, we've also had state agencies, and we've also had federal agencies to help us with these arrests. Not only were these arrest warrants being executed, but search warrants as well, where we were able to obtain, during the search warrants, evidence that we believe is going to also help us with our case investigation. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, I believe I've already mentioned, played a very important role with this. The Georgia's gang task force had a very important role in this whole operation, this entire operation. The Metro Gang Task Force, the West Metro Gang Task Force, West Georgia Gang Task Force, and our Region 2 GBI office, as I've already mentioned, have played a very, very important role in this entire operation. I am so appreciative. As I stated, this was a senseless act of violence that was committed in our rural community. And I can only hope that during the course of our investigation, which is going to lead to these individuals being prosecuted in our local courts, I can only hope through the prosecution of these individuals, this is going to send a strong message to our young people in our community that this will not be tolerated. We're not going to put up with it. So I want to make sure that's understood to those viewers that are seeing this today. We're not going to tolerate it. And we will be making an example out of this most terrible set of circumstances which led to the death of a woman who was feeling safe inside of her home, only to have bullets to penetrate her home, striking her, and subsequently killing her. We're not going to put up with it. It stops. It stops now. We are in conversation with our prosecutor's office, our district attorney's office here. There has been a lot of conversations had with our investigative team and the prosecutors to go forward with this case. Friday morning, during these searches and these arrests, through conversation, consultation, communication with our prosecutor's office, we were given the green light to go forward with what we did. So here we are today. Now, if there are any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to know more about, I'm going to step away and I'm going to allow my chief deputy, Colonel Byron Hadley to follow up. But now there's one remaining thing I want to say. Be mindful to the family of Kim Harvey-Pollard and those that are involved directly and or indirectly with the outcome of this investigation. Our thoughts and prayers are with you always. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Byron Hadley. I'm Chief Deputy Meriwether County Sheriff's Office, and I also serve as our Public Information Officer. I'm going to give you just some details back on the case so that you'll have a brief synopsis of what it is. I think everybody understands that we cannot give out and release too much information that would compromise our prosecution going forward, so I ask that you be respectful of that as we move forward. Many of the agencies that are surrounded here today on the 13th day of the original release that we put out concerning this, and all the information that's in your information packet that you'll receive is going to be available to you all the way through on that process. On March 19, 2023, 11:38 p.m., Meriwether County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to 110 Tuskegee Lane, Manchester, Georgia, in reference to a residence being shot multiple times. It was later discovered that a female identified as Kim Harvey-Pollard, 46 years of age, had been shot while lying in her bed. Meriwether County EMS responded to the location and provided emergency medical service to Miss Harvey-Pollard. She was transported by ambulance to the Roosevelt Memorial Airport for a requested life flight. Miss Harvey-Pollard was flown to the Metro Atlanta Trauma Hospital for treatment. Unfortunately, Kim Harvey-Pollard did not survive her injuries that she sustained and passed away 5 days later. The date of her death was March 24th, 2023, after being taken off life support. On the date of the incident above listed, our investigative personnel responded to the scene along with the GBI crime scene unit. Our investigators, narcotics agents, deputies, and GBI agents processed the scene as well as canvassed the area for witnesses and collected items of evidentiary value. Law enforcement personnel recovered a substantial amount of shell casings of various calibers in the yard and roadway directly in front of the residence. The residence had been struck multiple times in a hail of gunfire. The results of this extensive investigation have resulted in multiple arrest warrants being served, along with additional items of evidentiary value being recovered regarding the search warrant executions. And this all occurred at the culmination on Friday, September the 13th, in the early morning hours. Tactical units from multiple agencies were involved, and they're listed in your packet that you'll have that information regarding it. Tactical teams went in, secured the scenes for our support personnel to come in, and we were able to arrest the individuals that we had at that time. 4 out of the 5 were arrested. One we learned was in the Knoxville, Tennessee area, and he's being pursued by the U.S. Marshal Service, which will be covered as well concerning that. We were 6 search warrants, and we had the 5 arrest warrants on those individuals. Let me go over these are the individuals that are currently in custody and being held at various jails across the state. As the sheriff mentioned, his fellow sheriffs have helped us with housing arrangements for these individuals, because we have a total of 10 suspects in this case, but we have 8 of those currently in law enforcement custody, and one's going to be in the Georgia Department of Corrections. The other one that I'll cover is still at large. So the arrested individuals is going to be, and I'll start off in no particular order, Markevius Lorenzo Warrior. He's a male subject, 19 years of age, of Manchester, Georgia. He's charged with 1 count each of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Let me give you some backstory on Warrior. We already had him in our custody. He was in custody related to an incident that occurred on July 2024 in Warm Springs, Georgia, in which he is being held without bond for the offenses of aggravated assault, 4 counts, unlawful participation in criminal street gangs, 4 counts, and criminal damage to property, 1st degree, 1 count. The next individual is going to be Patrick Bernard Green. He's male, 18 years of age, Manchester, Georgia, charged with 1 count each of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Again, this individual was in our custody already from the incident that occurred in July of 2024, and his charges matched the same of that of Warrior that you'll have in your press packet. Datavius Ellison Jr., male, 17 years of age. Individual has 2 addresses that we know of that he has lived in Columbus, Georgia, as well as Manchester, Georgia. He's charged with 1 count of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Ellison also was already in our custody from an incident in July of 2024, in which those same charges that Warrior Green have faced from that instance. So we already had them in custody, being held without bond. Next individual is Darius Lamont Slayton, male, 20 years of age, Woodbury, Georgia, charged with 1 count of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Slayton was already in the custody of the Meriwether County Sheriff's Office for the offenses of aggravated battery and simple assault. Now, this gets to the individuals that were arrested on the 13th day of September in this case investigation, and I'll start off with Tercursian Devon Fathers. He's 21 years of age, Woodbury, Georgia, charged with 1 count of each of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in 1st degree. DeVecchio Santeris Parks, male, 24 years of age, Manchester, Georgia, charged with 1 count each of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in 1st degree. Ashanuel Shermaine Terry, male, 21 years of age, of Greenville, Georgia, charged with 1 count of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in 1st degree. We have next individuals Johnny Kishon Copeland, male, 21 years of age, Woodbury, Georgia. Warrants have been issued for his arrest for these same charges of 1 count each of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Copeland is currently in the custody of the Georgia Department of Corrections. Warrants are active for his arrest, and the District Attorney's Office, through a Superior Court production order, will determine a future date for him to be brought to the Meriwether County Jail to be booked for these outstanding charges. The last individual that I have on the list is a wanted individual, and we would like to encourage him to turn himself in. We can arrange that to occur, or if family or friends can influence him to turn himself in, because I will tell him, while you got this on film, that he has been actively pursued by the United States Marshal Service. Jameer Montrell Jones, male, 22 years of age, Woodbury, Georgia. Warrants have been issued for his arrest, not yet served, for the offense of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and criminal damage to property in the 1st degree. Our last intel that we had on Jones was that he was in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. If you have information regarding the whereabouts of Jameer Montrell Jones, call the U.S. Marshal Service at 1-877-926-832, and callers could receive a reward offered through the Marshal Service for information leading to his arrest. I want to point out one thing on this. There was a lot of agencies involved. There's been a lot of briefings and meetings that we've had with not only our district attorney's office, but our law enforcement partners on the local, state, and federal level. We have met multiple times with these at either our facility or at the courthouse and DA's office in Coweta County. And this is a culmination of a long-standing effort that's been put forth by everybody that's involved, from the standpoint that we shared information, shared resources, and put information together to get us to that point to where we got to September 13th. Our lead investigator, all of our investigators, all of our personnel, from our standpoint, have been involved in this from the get-go. Investigator Krause is our lead investigator on this, and he will be our lead going forward for the prosecution on this case. And it's been a culmination of effort by all parties included, and we want to thank everybody that participated in whatever shape, form that they did. I want to say this case investigation is active and ongoing with additional charges forthcoming. During the investigation, evidence was developed that revealed other crimes committed by these suspects and other associates of their gang. Law enforcement is continuing to investigate these incidents, and other charges will be filed. We're asking the public to contact our agency at 706-672-4236 or the GBI tip line at 1-800-597-8477 with any additional information pertaining to this case investigation. Now I want to bring you to another stage of the game. When I tell you that all these agencies have been involved in multiple case investigation, information sharing, and working together, I want to point out a couple other cases that we would ask that the public come forward and provide some additional information. We're asking the public to call these numbers, the numbers I've already given, if they have any information related to the open murder investigation that the GBI is conducting in the city of Woodbury and Manchester, Georgia. Additionally, if the public has any information into the murder of Darius D.B. Bryant of Manchester, Georgia, that occurred in Columbus, Georgia, we're requesting that those with information call pertaining to that case as well. Our personnel of the GBI will forward the information to the Columbus Police Department detectives on that open case investigation, as we have been in communication with them in our previous information sharing process. And those are some outstanding cases that are still out there that we want to see closure from every aspect, from every agency involved, and we ask that the people can release that in, call us, give us the information, and we'll take that information through the tip line, call our office. Callers can remain anonymous. Last thing I want to state on this is Director of Office in Public and Government Affairs with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is Nellie Miles. And she sent a statement for us to be able to release that the GBI remains committed to collaborating with our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners to combat gang-related crimes. Criminal street gangs have brought violence and fear to the communities across Georgia, and unfortunately, Meriwether County is no exception. However, the citizens of this community can take comfort in knowing that dedicated investigators work tirelessly around the clock to bring these criminals to justice. Our agency's role in gang enforcement continues to expand with the establishment of the Metro Gang Task Force, Middle Georgia Gang Task Force, and now the West Georgia Gang Task Force. We strongly encourage the public to report any suspicious activity to local law enforcement. Anonymous tips can also be submitted to the GBI by calling 1-800-597-TIPS or through the See Something, Send Something mobile app. And that is from Nellie Miles, Director of Office of Public and Government Affairs with Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The other statement I'd like to put out here for the U.S. Secret Service that helped us in this course of this investigation, along with other federal agencies, the FBI included, ATF, all of those that were involved in this case investigation, is that the U.S. Secret Service is proud to assist the Meriwether County Sheriff's Office as they investigate this heinous crime. This is a quote from Frederick D. Houston, Special Agent in Charge, U.S. Secret Service, Atlanta Field Office. We're committed to assisting our law enforcement partners and will continue to support them in their investigations. What I'd like to do now is bring in another agency that is working another case investigation. It's a joint us in Upson County, which would be Chief Mike Richardson, to speak on his case and give a few words about it that I know that they would request that assistance from the public or any other sources that come available be provided to assist them on that. So I want to turn it over right now to Chief Richardson, and then we'll move forward from there. Chief Richardson.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone being here. And Sheriff Smith, thank you for putting all this together and the great job that you guys have done. And let me be clear that myself, Sheriff Countryman, Sheriff Smith, and all the other sheriffs and police chiefs that are represented, you know, we provide the means for these investigators and officers, but it's the officers and the investigators that are in the trenches every day making these cases and making all this happen. And so we couldn't do any of that or look good like they make us look sometimes without their hard work and their dedication to what they do. So great job and hats off to all of them. We just wanted to mention that on Saturday, May 28th of 22, shortly after midnight, we had a graduation party in the city of Thomaston at the main event center, which is off of Park Lane in Thomaston. That was a graduation party that was advertised on social media as a free event for all to come. And they did. And we had many people show up, and we had a large group of young men and women that showed up from Manchester and Woodbury and Talbot County areas. While at that graduation party, a fight broke out, physical altercation, during which time multiple shots were fired at that graduation party. As a result of those shots, 3 individuals sustained injuries, and one of them, Akeem Ellison, unfortunately succumbed to his injuries later that evening at Upson Regional Medical Center. The other 2 parties were treated and released later that night. This is an unsolved homicide at this time. We have been actively working this case since 22. We have determined that the subjects involved were the individuals from Manchester and Talbot County, and we have been working with Manchester PD, Sheriff Smith, extensively over the last several years on this case, which has crossed our paths on this particular case, and we were glad to assist with it, and we greatly appreciate their assistance. But if anyone has any information regarding to this homicide, we would greatly appreciate phone calls to come in. I know the family of Mr. Ellison mourns the loss of their loved one, as we all do, on, again, such a heinous, pointless crime, just a pointless crime. So anyone with information, we would encourage you to call the Thomaston Police Department at 706-647-5455. Thank you.
Sheriff Countryman, would you like to say a few words in regard to this? You good? Major Price, anybody from there? Coweta? Ken?
No, thank you. I'll stay around later if anybody has any questions or anything to ask for us.
As we stated before, that, like I said, you'll have it in your press release packet, all the agencies involved. And I'll just say this, we wouldn't be where we're at right now if it wasn't all these agencies that you'll see in your press packet. We wouldn't be where we're at right now. We would not. Absolutely would not, because these individuals have stepped forward from other agencies that provided us with resources that we would not have had available to us. Some of them have expedited processing for us on evidence from the case. Some of them have absorbed the cost that would affect us as a smaller agency much more than it would a larger agency in that process. So we can't thank them enough for the efforts they put forth, from boots on the ground to their tactical units to the investigative aspects, even through our district attorney's office. We've been in consultation with them on a regular basis, and also the sheriff has been in consultation with the victim advocate the victim and witness advocate for the Harvey-Pollard family, and he has personally went down and they personally come to his office and had it set up to where they could meet and those things be done as they move forward in the next stages of this process, which will be prosecution of this case. So we're very thankful for every aspect of everybody that's offered anything in regard to it that's helped us out. We just ask that the public step forward now. If any information that they've got, either whether it's on this case or these other cases, and forward as far as giving some justice to those that have been victimized out here, and we would be hopeful that that would be forthcoming.
Colonel,
Yes.
quick question. Do we have a motive for the shooting at this moment?
We do, but I'm not getting into those details regarding that. What we know at this time related to it, not going to compromise any information, because we still got, just so that you understand, we still got other witnesses that we need to talk to in regard to this case, and we're not going to do anything that's going to release any information that's going to compromise either witness information or prosecution going forward, because this is important to us that we make sure that we do what we need to do and in a proper and correct manner.
So you established a motive, but you can't release it at this point?
We got a lot of information going on with this case investigation, but we're not releasing anything out direct related to the case. Give it information on the dates and the times and the circumstances of what happened, but we got other people we got to talk to in regard to this.
So you do think this is gang related?
Yes, and we have some of those individuals that you see right now, they've already been charged with participation in a criminal street gang, and these are some of the offenders. There will be others that will be brought forth at some point in time related to this. You understand, up under the Criminal Street Gang Act, we got to meet certain criteria and stuff of that nature, and that's what we're culminating all this stuff together to get to that stage, whether it be through additional arrest warrants being signed or whether it be through indictment.
Did any of
Can
them
you say
live?
whether she was the intended target of this shooting, or was she an innocent victim in the house?
Like the sheriff said, she was in her bed. It's kind of doesn't matter one way or the other on our standpoint. I'm not going to speculate one way or the other in regard to that, but whenever you shoot multiple bullets into a house, you don't know whether there's somebody in there or not in there. And in this particular case, she was there in the house, in the bed, asleep, and she lost her life.
Was they shooting at somebody else in the house then? Was there a target in which they were interested in?
We are not going into the specifics of the case investigation. We're just not.
Can you say whether they have a particular gang affiliation?
We do, but we're not ready to put that out there right now.
Were they in a car or were they out, because it's a dead end over there? So were they?
They were not in a vehicle, and we found shell casings in the yard and in the roadway at that time that we understand at this stage of the game of the investigation.
Did anyone else live with Ms. Pollard or had lived there previously with her that may have been an intended target?
There had been other people that lived there at some point in time, but on that specific date and time that you're referring to, I'm not getting into who may have been in the house or around the house or left the house or been there previously or anything like that.
She was not a part of any gang or anything?
No,
You said
she
that
was
straight
a innocent victim in a house that was shot up multiple times, in which and I'm not talking about one particular spot. I'm talking about a substantial circumference of the house in regard to this.
So multiple shooters. Can you say how many of the people behind you in those pictures were the actual shooters?
I'm going to refer to you. You see that picture of those individuals right there? Those are the ones we have in custody. Those are the ones we have in charged with this offense related to her murder. And the only one that's still outstanding right now, other than the one that's in the Georgia Department of Corrections, is Jameer Jones, that the marshals are helping track.
So to be clear, those are your shooters behind you?
These are our suspects, offenders, however you want to list them, in our case investigation. And our case investigation has developed a probable cause that these individuals were part of this.
So as
This-
many as
this-
9 people.
I think we got the Let me get you a count to make sure that I'm right one. There's 10. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing one when you said 9, but I thought it was 10. It's 10.
And Colonel, you said there were 8 in custody, right? That's what you said.
We have eight in custody, and one's in the Georgia. He actually is. There's 9 in custody. The other one is actually in the Georgia Department of Corrections. He has been sentenced on a previous or another offense, and then we have one that's outstanding. The marshal's office is trying to help us track.
And you're looking for additional suspects
We-
with warrants on them?
Jameer Jones is the one related to this case investigation. This is still an active, ongoing investigation. We got others that'll be charged at some stage of the game related to their association with these individuals.
Thank you.
Did bullets hit any of the other homes on that street?
We have no information at that time that that's the case. And we appreciate everybody coming down. I want you to get a copy of the press release packet, which will have all that in there. And if you have any questions or concerns that I can answer for you, I'll leave my card over there. And if we can answer it, or we can provide you any other material, fact, bookings, or anything else related to that, you can reach out to me and we'll get it to you.
Do you all have a picture of the victim?
We will see what we can come up with in regard to that, but I'm not going to promise or guarantee anything, because this is going to be up to our investigators and whether the family is comfortable with anything of us giving it out, because we're not going to do that unless they're comfortable with it. You'll have to get it from another source instead of us. All right? We want to thank y'all. Appreciate your time. Thank y'all, and
All right, so you just heard from the Meriwether Sheriff, several other members of law enforcement. As you can see, the room clearing right now as this press conference has concluded. I just want to summarize, in case you jumped in halfway through these remarks. This was Meriwether County Sheriff Chuck Smith calling this news conference to discuss a 2023 deadly shooting investigation that authorities believe was gang-related and, in their own words, led to several arrests, a covert operation that was executed on Friday of last week, led to a search, several evidentiary items that were recovered, and at least 9 people now in custody, with one other person that is being sought after by U.S. Marshals. Now, some of the remarks from the sheriff, of course, describing this incident was that there were some sort of shooting in the area just before midnight, and among the victims was a woman who was sleeping in bed in her own home, unrelated and unknown to these suspects, who unfortunately was shot in the head and died days later in the hospital. That woman was 46-year-old Kim Harvey-Pollard. Now, the sheriff has said, and the camera just went down, so I'll pop on the screen here for you guys. The sheriff said this was an emotional investigation for him. He described it as heinous and uncalled for. He talked in detail about how this never left his mind, and just this past Friday was the breakthrough that the investigators needed. That covert operation was a result of 5 different homes being searched by authorities, of the homes of the suspects believed to be tied to this investigation. Now, we are going to have their names and charges listed for you on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and in the free Atlanta News First app. But as you can expect, several steps still ahead for the sheriff's office as they continue to investigate, call witnesses before, as the sheriff said, turning things over to prosecuting attorneys. So at least 9 people in custody, one other person still wanted. The sheriff's office at this time asking if you have any information about this 2023 Manchester shooting, do get in contact with them. They are actively building evidence in this case, a lot of which will stem from that covert operation that was executed this past Friday. We're going to keep you on top of this story. Our Atlanta News First reporter, Yasmina Alston, is going to be talking with investigators some more, and she'll have a full report for you on Atlanta News First Evening News. So make sure you tune in with that. We have Atlanta News First News at 3 coming up next.